Hi, and welcome back to Walking with the Chosen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shay Keith, and I'm the host of the show. I like to talk about all things around the show called The Chosen, but I also like to interview people who have had their lives impacted by The Chosen. And tonight, I am offering you one of those shows. This is a guest that I met from being an extra on The Chosen last year for season 5, and she has an amazing story. I forgot how good her story was until I was doing the editing. But one caveat I have to let you know about, I did something wrong when I recorded this video. Somehow I managed to mess up the sound quality. Sorry guys, it's not my best work and it's totally my fault. I just had something set up incorrectly and so the sound didn't turn out right. I'm really hoping that the other interviews that I've recorded don't sound as bad, but her story is so good. You definitely have to just put up with the bad sound quality to hear what she has to share. This is such an amazing story. So let's get into today's episode. So today I want to share with you the news I have for season 6. And that is, many of you have asked what it takes to be a background extra for The Chosen. Well, there are a couple of ways. One, you could actually be a paid background extra, but you're probably going to want to have brown hair, brown eyes, and possibly browner skin than me because they look for that quality. They want somebody that looks more like you're from the Mideast in order to play in those roles. It doesn't mean you have to be, but usually for the paid actors, that's what they're really looking for. And then if you're not of those qualities, you can try to get on as an extra that you pay to get on the show. And we just received an email today from the Come and See Foundation. So if you've ever watched Dallas Lives, and maybe you haven't, but if you have, you've heard him talk about Come and See. Come and See is the nonprofit organization that raises money on behalf of The Chosen so that they can get The Chosen out into many languages. And they are the ones also that take the money from background extras to pay to be on the show. This year, the requirements are $250 a day per person. And they're offering up a 2-day slot, a 3-day slot, or a 1-week slot. We don't have all the specifics yet, but there is an email going out on Monday. Now, this is important. I have to get the show out to you guys so that you know about this. If you're interested in being a background extra, make sure that you go to the Come and See Foundation as soon as you watch this video. Just stop the video right now and go to the comeandseefoundation.org and look for the link that will allow you to sign up as an extra. And then when they send out the emails on Monday, you will be in that mass mailing and have an opportunity to sign up. Just know that you have to be thinking about what date you want to go. You can go in May and be in Utah, which is probably where they're going to film the crucifixion scenes because that's where they have the Jerusalem set. And that will take place in May, but the dates themselves have not been released. However, we know that the paid actors, they've been looking for people that can participate May 1st and through the third full week of May. So we're kind of hoping that those are the weeks they're going to have available, but we don't know anything until Monday. So be looking at your calendar and see if you can make any of those dates work if you want to be an extra. And make sure you can be there because this is an opportunity you do not want to miss. If going to Utah seems a little bit out of your budget or your reach at this time, maybe you should consider August, where they're going to be filming in Texas. Now, I believe you have to make a decision on Monday or whenever you would receive your email. So it's like an invitation email. They'll say, okay, if you want to join, pick your dates, click this link, pick your dates, and pay. So you have to be able to pay for this when you fill out your application. That's key. So make sure you pick out your dates, whether you want to do the one in May for Utah or Texas, or possibly both. That might be an opportunity too. These are things that we're all waiting to find out. Again, that email on Monday is going to tell us all those details. So I really hope that this helps you possibly be a background extra. And I'm sure I'll be sharing a whole lot more information with you as I learn more. And I hope I might get to meet you on set. You will love the opportunity. It will bless you tremendously, and you'll be blessed with brand new friends. And I really, really hope I get to see you. Okay, guys, let's get into this interview. And I can't wait to introduce you to Kristen. She's got such a great story. I know I've already said that in introduction, but she's Amazing. Let's get started. With The Chosen, I have Kristen Oser here. Kristen was on the season 5 set, but she was there the week before me. So, Kristen, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. Thank you for joining us.
I am so glad you're here. So, Kristen, just give everybody a little bit of background about who you are.
So I'm 28 years old. I live in San Diego, California, and I am a flight attendant for Delta Airlines. So with that, that goes into a lot of my story. It was my dream job, and so Jesus plays a huge role in that, and why I do what I do now. But when I'm not working, I'm traveling. It's a big part of what I love. I love just exploring the world, seeing people, exploring new cultures and languages. So that's a lot about me.
Awesome. That's so cool. My dad was an airline pilot for TWA a long time ago. So, about the time you were born, it was probably about the time he left the airline.
That is so cool. Did you ever get to take any advantage of his benefits or anything?
Oh, yeah. I went over to Germany when I was 18 years old on a pass that cost me $20 to fly over there. And I got a first class ticket to come back. I think it was $100 for a first class ticket from Germany.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It is. And that was, I love travel too, but I have to tell you, I don't know how you guys do your job because when that turbulence hit, I'm just like, I know I grew up around flying, but I still get nervous when every time the turbulence hits. When I came back from Utah, I flew into Kansas City and the turbulence was so bad the pilot was calling it severe turbulence, and I just plugged up. I turned on my videos because I had downloaded the things about Zebedee because the actor who plays Zebedee had a life transformation because of the show. I just watched that. I was crying watching that. I totally ignored what was going on around me. And it was funny because when we landed, the lady sitting next to me, she said, "Oh my gosh, that was the worst turbulence I ever experienced on Southwest Airlines."
And you were like, I just had a piece. I was not even paying attention.
That's right. That's the way to do it. And I usually watch The Chosen when I fly. It helps me so much.
Of course. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So how long have you been a flight attendant?
I've been a flight attendant for 2 years, but I've been with Delta for 6. Yeah. So that plays into my story. We can get into that later.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just get started. Why don't you share a little bit about your background? You're 28 years old, so you're very young. What was your belief like when you were growing up? What was life like when you were growing up?
So I would say I was raised in a cultural Christian home. So my mom was a believer, my dad was not. So my mom put me, well, I mean, both my parents put me through private school up until 7th grade. That was important to them. And my mom took my family to church. I'm an only child, so it's just 3 of us. But it was important to her that we go to church every Sunday, so we did. But the church and the school that I went to didn't really push a relationship with Jesus, if that makes sense. So it was just about God and respecting Him and all of that, developing a love for Him, which I did. But there was nothing about Jesus and the sermons. So I developed a love for God, but the whole Jesus aspect was missing throughout all of my life, essentially. And so I would go on high school retreats and I would see these kids like raising their hands, and I never felt any of that. I never could get into it. And worship music wasn't something that we listened to. It was more of like a hymns at my church, and this is not something that I ever got into. So the whole music aspect was missing for me. So I was just seeing God as like this deity that I did love and that I did respect and want to please, but there wasn't a deep, profound love for him. So then eventually our schedules got busy. We made travel more of a higher priority. So we just stopped going to church. And then when college came around, I was really stuck in this time of, well, I don't really want to go to a small private Christian school because that's not really me. But I also am not a partier or anything. So I don't want to go to a big school. So that was a big dilemma. College, I ended up in Arizona State, which is like the number one party school in the country. But I didn't go to a single party throughout my whole college career.
Wow, good for you.
So it was a weird time of trying to, I felt like I was in the middle of something. And so I wasn't with this crowd, but I wasn't with this crowd. So it was just almost like a loneliness time. Um, But little did I know that like Jesus was actually sowing seeds in my heart to be ready for when he came for me.
Yeah, right. I could totally relate to everything you just said because I grew
Okay.
up in a Catholic school until I was in
Okay.
seventh grade. And then my parents didn't feel like my education was where they wanted it to be. So they put me into a public school. And then high school, we only had public school anyway. So everybody kind of melted together. But I was the same way. The hymns were fine. There were some that I liked, but they didn't really resonate with me. I
Right.
remember being distracted during church when the priest did the sermons. I didn't feel a connection. I mean, I saw Jesus hanging up on the cross. I saw him every Sunday,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
didn't have the feeling. And like just like you, I had people that were in my class were like, "I just got saved this weekend," or "I just got baptized," and I'm like, "Mom, why am I not saved?" She goes, "You've been confirmed," and I'm like, "Okay." So I totally understand what you're saying so far, and I
Yes.
know a lot of people who have that same kind of background. So I'm anxious to hear what happened. I mean, at what point? So you didn't party in college, which that's fantastic. I went down the wrong path in college, so good for you.
Good for you. Good for you.
So you what graduated from college, and then you're like, I need a job, or what happened?
Yes. So my dad was an airline pilot, my mom's a flight attendant. So that whole industry, I knew, like, I could find my second grade. What do you want to be when you grow up? And it was flight attendant. Like, always, 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 that was the dream job. So all my life, I knew that that was what I wanted my future to be. So like, my college, I was a communications major. I worked for Disney to try to get customer service experience, just to try to lead up to that. So I would apply, and I got rejected several times. And so eventually on the third rejection, I said, okay, well, I'm not going to give up, but I do know that I want to work for Delta. So why don't I try to get another job within the company just to try to get my foot in the door, maybe transfer internally? So as a joke, um, I saw that they were hiring for like an airport customer service agent. So the people who check you in at the airport, take your bags in Maui. And I just, because I thought, well, okay, that would be fun, but whatever, submit. And I ended up getting the job. So it was seasonal. So I was there over the summers and then during the holiday time, the 50 times. So I did that for about 2 years. And since I was only there for a short amount of time, I rented a car. And I would say within the first 2 days of being there, I turned on the radio and I was just kind of scrolling it. It's an old car, so there's no screen, can't see the name of the song or the artist or anything. And I just came upon a station and I was like, oh, this music is kind of good. And it turns out it was Caleb. And I had never listened to worship music before, but I liked the melody, I liked this song lyrics, all of that. So I just kind of kept it on. And so this was for about 2 years, 2018. And then fast forward July 11th, 2021, I was in Maui again for the summer. Still had been rejected many other times for the flight attendant job. And I was asleep. I don't know what time it was, but I'm going to assume it was still dark out. So I'm going to say it was like 2, 3 in the morning. And I met Jesus in a dream. He came to me in a dream.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got to tell us all about that.
So I was with my mom in a very big city. It looked like it was almost imagine New York City. And we're just walking down the street. There's honking cars, people everywhere. And I'm looking up, and the sky's like literally opened. And I'm like, Mom, like, do you see that? And she didn't really say yes or no, but I was just like captivated. And I somehow was like, I have to go there. And then the next thing I know, I'm there. And everything is just white. And then just a little ways away, this is just standing there, just the brightest eyes, the biggest smile on his face. And he just has his arms out.
You're going to make me tear up. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing.
So I just ran as fast as I possibly could. And like the hug was the greatest moment of my life. Like I need to remember and think about that more when I'm down because it's such a gift. And so I just was like sitting there in his embrace, just with a smile. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting on his lap and we're just staring at each other in each other's eyes. And he just still has this greatest smile on his face. And it was like no words were said, but everything was said through his eyes. So I woke up like immediately after. And I
You're like, no.
exactly, I was like, wait, what in the world just happened? And I knew that what I saw and just was a part of was real. I knew that, but I didn't know what to do with that. So I went back to sleep, tried to go back to sleep, and then I woke up and I was like, okay, well, now it's a new day. I have no idea where to start, what to do, who to tell, if I'm going to tell anybody yet. Um,
At this
so I
point, you
remember,
didn't have a relationship yet, right? I mean, you're just
no,
like, this was the first time you've had, other than the Caleb, that's the only thing you've had
yeah,
so far, and then all of a sudden you have this dream.
yes, like out of nowhere. He just came to me out of nowhere. He's so good and so loving to all of us. Um, so I remember somebody mentioning something about some Bible show called The Chosen. And I thought, okay, well, I mean, it had only been a few hours in the morning after this at this point. So I was like, I'm not ready to tell anybody yet. So let me just try out the show. So I found it online and I watched episode one, season one, and the ending, just like millions and millions of others. I was a absolute wreck. And it just confirmed everything that had happened in the dream to me. It was like perfect, where he calls me by name and he knows me and I'm redeemed. So I knew immediately. I just ran to my room. I've never cried so hard in my life, and I just got on my knees for the first time in my life, and I just spewed everything out loud and was like, "I'm so sorry, Lord. Like, please forgive me and all of this," and gave my life to Him. And the biggest weight just was lifted off my shoulders. And then it was like living in this little bubble for a few days. I didn't tell anybody. I just went to work. And all I wanted to do was like go back home in my little bubble and just be with Jesus. If that makes sense. Like I think we all when, for the first time when we give our life to him, like truly, if that's an adult, a teenager, whatever, it's like living in a bubble. Like we just all we want to do is like spend time with him. And that's all I wanted to do.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, I have so many questions.
Yes.
I love this. I have watched many videos online. There's a channel, I think it's called Crystal Loves Jesus, and she does a lot of videos of people who have seen Jesus, like what you did, like they were called up or raptured and all
Yeah.
those things. So
Yeah.
the one question they never talk about is, what did he look like? Can you remember?
It was definitely like the form of a human. Um, just really bright. I know some people say like, "Oh, eyes of fire." I didn't see fire. It was just the most loving eyes, the biggest smile. Um, that's that's what I can tell you. That's what stood out. I honestly don't remember that part. I'm. I honestly don't remember.
So, okay, this, I mean, obviously you know it was Jesus, but how did you know it was
Yes.
Jesus? How did, I mean, what made you like go, oh, I know that was Jesus and I got to change my life or whatever, you know?
I think there's something in our soul where if we have that encounter or something like that, we just know. And because I had never had a relationship or been exposed to Jesus or anything like that, I knew that it was real because I know this may or may not make sense, but my heart just knew, okay, I'm connected with this person. Like this person knows me and he loves me, and we're doing all our connecting just through our eyes.
That's amazing. And I've heard that a lot. Like, he doesn't actually open his mouth and talk to you, but it's like you just know what he's thinking. It's like there's just something
Yeah,
there, and you just
exactly.
have this conversation, which kind of brings me to like, I'm still working on hearing his voice because I'm a fairly new Christian. I was saved in 2021 also. And
Yes.
lately, like yesterday, I was crying when I was having this moment because I was sitting out on my deck. I have a place where I pray. I live at Lake the Ozarks, so I have a great view, and I love to sit outside in the mornings with him. And I close my eyes, and I can just, I feel like I just see him kind of approach and stand in front of me. Again, no really any details. I think he's got long hair, but I'm not sure. But I just know
Yeah.
it's him. And when
Exactly.
I have this conversation with them, I'm not opening my mouth. He's not opening his mouth. It's just he gives me these little short words. You're like, listen to me, obey me, follow me. And
Yes.
I don't know. Part of me goes, am I just making this up in my head? But it feels too special.
Not at all.
So, all right. So
That,
you had this transforming moment that is blowing me away. Uh,
yes.
and you saw The Chosen, so I'm sure you were hooked and you started watching.
I
Then
was.
what happened? And I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the end of the story. I'm sure more has happened since then.
So that was July. And then the opportunity for me to reapply to be a flight attendant was opening up at the end of August. So in the meantime, I was transferring from Maui to LA, which was closer to home, but my work schedule was going to be crazy different. I was working like 3 days a week, and now it's going to be 5 days a week, 8 hours a day in LAX. So the people are going to be totally different. It's just going to be wild. But I went into it knowing, okay, Lord, now I have this new relationship with you. I'm seeing things totally differently. So please just like send me customers and passengers that I can help. And it was the greatest, one of the greatest experiences of my life. And it wouldn't have been that way if he wasn't a part of that, for sure. Because I would have gone in with a more selfish mindset and all of that. But so that was for a month. And at the end of August, I reapplied. And before I applied this time, I said, okay, the past 4 times, nothing has worked. And I've gotten people involved who have tried to bang down doors, and you've made it clear that it's a no. So I need to do something. So what am I going to do different? So for the second time, I got on my knees and I just said, I really feel like this my whole life. You put this dream on my heart, but I've made it like an idol and I've made it way too much of a priority, and I haven't involved through it all in this. So I surrender this dream. If now is the time, great. If it's in a little bit, great. And if it's never, then I will accept that. And the application process took about 3 months, but in December, I got the job. And I'm in New York on a layover as part of this job right now doing this. So this timing is so perfect, and there's so many little things that I can go back and go, okay, thank you for not giving it to me when I wanted it for so many years, because it just wasn't right. The timing was perfect, and I just said thank you, Lord, for not giving it to me in the past when I thought I was so ready, and but I needed these different trials to come along and to go through them, to look back and go, okay, yes, you were in it through it all, and I wouldn't have changed it any other way.
So, okay, the stuff you're saying is so wise, and it took me time to even understand terms like surrender. How did you go from watching The Chosen to I need to surrender? Did you start going to church? Did you instantly start reading the Bible? Did you start listening to stuff on like what got you to where you were a few months later? Because that's amazing.
Thank you. Yes. So that was one of the things that immediately after my dream, I said, Mom, you need to go back to church. So, I mean, it had been years at this point. And I said, but, I don't really want to go to the one that we're going to. So she agreed, and she was like, no, we're going to find a different one. And I know that that's a whole other issue. People are having issues, finding good Jesus-centered churches nowadays. And it breaks my heart that that's like struggle that we have to go through. But we were fortunate enough to find one immediately, and we've been going there for the past 3 years, and it's just been amazing. They really do push relationship with Jesus. He is the center of every sermon. He's the center of everything that they do. Love God, love people. So they're a huge part of helping me just grow rapidly.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. That's what I found too. I found a non-denominational church, and it was very Bible focused, and that's
Yes,
what I needed. I needed somebody to explain this book to me that I'm supposed to read now.
exactly. Exactly. And that's part of why the chosen is so good, because it brings it to life.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, what about your mom and your dad? Like, has this changed their lives too because of what happened to you?
Um, my dad is still on a journey. And but my mom, yes, by going to church and making it a priority to go every Sunday, I make sure to get Sundays off from work, which is a huge blessing. Um, I've definitely seen her grow, which is it just warms my heart. And she will admit, like, oh, I wanted to say something about this particular subject to somebody, but I said, no, I need to keep my mouth shut because that wouldn't have been God pleasing. So she'll have these little moments that just make me so happy that we just get to go along this journey together.
So did you both get baptized again since you've been on this journey?
Yes, we ended up going to Israel with our church last April, and we got rededicated together in the Jordan.
Oh, that is amazing. So, all right, you brought that up. You're going to have to tell me, what was it
Yeah.
like? I mean, you watched The Chosen, so you kind of have an idea of what their journey was like. What was it like to be over there? Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness. I don't use the term lightly, but it was life changing. Absolutely. Just going with our church and people that we got to know, grow with, and our pastor who we love and respect, and just reading those Bible stories in the settings that they took place was mind blowing. Like being at the pool of Bethesda, um, where he opens the eyes of Jesse, who we know in the Chosen, and then just reading it. So being there and then also flashing back to the Chosen at the same time, it's just crazy. If you have the opportunity, everybody should get to Israel. And I know maybe now is not the right time, but definitely in the future, go 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 if you have the opportunity.
It's definitely on my list. I wanted to do it years ago, even when my faith wasn't very strong, but it just, somebody had told me they were there, and part of me was like, isn't that country always in war? So I was kind of like, I don't know, it's Middle East. But since then, I have been to Dubai twice. I know what the Middle East is like.
Yeah.
I've flown over Jerusalem when I landed in Jordan to get to Dubai, one of my trips. So I have, I'm like, okay, so that was before I was saved. And after I was saved, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to go there. And then, of course, the war broke out. So how long were you there? How much time did you spend there?
It was about 2 weeks. Definitely minimum 10 days. I mean, it is a very small country, but it's so rich with history. There's just so much. I mean, you can cover the entire country in 3 days, but to actually soak it in and all of these stories that took place in each of these places, definitely minimum 10 days to 2 weeks.
So did you get to go to wherever Capernaum? I don't know if Capernaum is still even a town in Israel, but did you get to go to that?
Yes, yes. They have a wall as you enter. It says like I'll have to go back and find it, but it says like the town of Jesus right in front. And then they have a big church that's built in honor of Peter as well. Um, every stone there almost has a history. And then they take you to a synagogue where it's actually highly, highly plausible that Jesus taught. So you can't touch any, can't walk on it. It's all, surrounded to, okay. But just to see it and be right there, it's really honestly hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, I know. As you're talking about this, it's making me think. There are times where my human brain goes, "Is Jesus real? Well, he was alive. Was he
Yeah.
God?" So my brain does this crazy
Yeah,
thing. But I think if
absolutely.
you're there and you see these stones, I mean, that just has to make it even more imprinted on your heart, where you're like, "Yeah, absolutely, this is 100% real. Why would I ever doubt?" Right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was when we went on a boat in the Sea of Galilee, just in Capernaum. And our pastor said, okay, so you're looking out at the land. And he said, if you stretch your left arm all the way out and you stretch your right arm all the way out, and you look at what's spanning that, 70% of the New Testament happened and took place in that span of your arms.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And so I think when we read it, we go, oh, they walked and they traveled here and they traveled here. But when you see how small of an area all of these stories took place in, it makes it more not believable because we believe, but it just kind of clicks. You go, okay, this really does make sense. And then you're on the Sea of Galilee and you go, whoa, okay, so Peter actually tried to walk on this water, and Jesus did actually walk on this water and pull him up. Like somewhere on this lake. It is crazy.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that is so amazing. So then you go from this amazing story to you're on the set of The Chosen for season 5, and we won't get any spoiler alerts, but
Yeah.
what led you there, and what was your experience like while you were there?
So when I saw the little message from Dallas saying that they needed extras, I was like, okay, mom, because she's a big fan too. So I was like, okay, we need to be a part of this. We need to do this. And when we got those call times at 6:15 in the morning, she was a little hesitant. She's like, maybe I want to stay in the hotel. You can go.
Your mom sounds like me. I get it.
Yeah. But as you know, it was so worth it. Just incredible. It was like living in a bubble with your new best friends. I feel like it was like a camp because, we were really not on our phones that much for 3 days or however long we were there. And we were just surrounded by those loving people. And the cast and crew could not have been nicer. They could not have been more loving and giving to all of us. And then just seeing this incredible show being made in front of our eyes and having the opportunity to be background and be immersed in it was just incredible.
So I'm curious. I still, to this day, I didn't have one last night, but the night before, I still dream about being on set. And there's usually something like the actors are walking by, or Dallas is telling me to do something. Do you have that? Did you have that when you came home? Like it's so ingrained on your head, your brain?
Oh my goodness, yes, 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 yes. And just that want of like, I think somebody said, "Oh, I'm missing first century life right now so badly. Like, I don't want to go back to the first century." It was just incredible, and I can't say the scene that had an impact on me yet, but I can't wait until it comes out. But I think when all of us were on set, we all had at least one thing that we saw or something that just kind of hit us or changed us. So I just keep thinking about that and dreaming about that, being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing to be a part of
Were you there for the whole first week or just the last few days?
the last few days.
Okay, so yeah, I know what you went through. So yeah, I know, and I was envious because I don't think this is a spoiler alert, but you had a night scene, and I was like, oh, I wanted to do a night scene, but then everybody's like, yeah, but it's on Friday night. Some people had early flights out Saturday morning, and when my week came, week two, and on Friday night, I was so glad I was done because I was exhausted, and we had to get up at 4:30 in the morning for another day to catch our flights the next day. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get a night scene, but I'm sure it would have looked very beautiful and was quite an experience, even though you're probably freezing to death up there because it was a little bit chilly.
Oh my god. So the night scene was something that hit me. Um, but it was about 35 degrees. And, we're just in our little flimsy costumes. I mean, but we had clothes on underneath our clothes, but still for 35 degrees. So in the scene, there's these like cauldrons of fire because it's nighttime. And so a lot of us realized, oh, okay, well, we're just walking in the background. So let's just walk by the fire cauldrons to keep warm. And then it kind of turned into like a huddle of people. And then it almost became dangerous because somebody's costume actually like got a little flick of fire on it. So it kind of ruined it for everybody. No offense, but because then they were like, okay, no huddling by the fire. You got to keep walking. You got to keep.
Yeah, I can hear Mitch saying that. Keep walking, keep crossing. Don't.
Exactly. Yes, exactly, exactly. But yeah, it was cold for sure, and I think we got done at 1 in the morning. Uh, but it was so worth it. That
What a
is
great
always like
way to end your experience there, to get to be there for that, even though you were only there for a few days. But
absolutely
will you do it again? Will you go back, try to?
100%. I cannot wait. Are you going back?
I'm going to try. I wonder how many people they're going to bring because obviously they did the 600 each week. And did they have all 600 of you at the night shot? They call 3 color groups up there to do it? Yeah.
Yes. So that was one of the things, and this is all I can say. Um, it was a very heavy scene, so we had to be very quiet. So it was 600 people for an hour and a half who did not say one word. I mean, Mitch wasn't even yelling like background. It was being told to one person, and then we have to just look around because there's no sound. Nobody's yelling anything. It was completely quiet. It was just the sound of animals, the live animals that they had there, for an hour and a half. It was very eerie, but it will all make sense when it comes out.
I'm sure that was really moving, whatever was happening. I can imagine because the one I saw a couple moving scenes with different actors. One was when we first got there Monday, another one was on Thursday, and all the scenes. You have no idea how they're going to put all these background
Right.
pieces.
Exactly.
But I know that the one day it was supposed to be very somber, and when that day took place, they told us like, don't be clapping when they say camera move, because for people
Yeah.
that haven't been an extra, that's what people do is say camera move, and it means that they got the shot that they needed, so now they can move the camera to another scene, and so everybody's like, yay! And I saw somebody posting about this recently that people still clapped. It's like they tell you not to, and I know I probably did too because everybody started clapping, so I jumped in, not even thinking about it. And um, I know we started off very somber and quiet when the scene began. Well, granted, ours is in the daylight, so that might have kind of changed it. And when we watched how the actors behaved, even though they're trying to maintain their focus and their somberness, sometimes they kind of let loose a little bit, probably because it's gone on, it went on all day, this one scene. So
Yeah.
at some points there's just a little bit of humor that comes out, and we're laughing. And I think we kind of got relaxed, and we lost that really somber moment. But I do know we came back from lunch and we got right back into it. And because of the way the scenes kept going over and over and kept getting the angles and everything, we were working. I mean, we were moving. There was stuff happening, and we were reacting to it. And that was the coolest thing for me because I actually felt like I was acting for once
Absolutely.
instead of just walking around. So, wow, that is so amazing, Krista. I love your story. Everything that you've shared today is, oh my gosh, it's so cool. And I think you and I can both relate to this. It's like the people you meet in the tent, and I don't know how much tent time you had because since you're only there 3 days, you might have been out on set. Were you on set more than you were in the tent, you think?
I would say we were day two was the most tent time we had, but it was no more than 3 hours.
Okay, that's about what we had on our day two, I
Yeah.
think. Day two or day three. We were in the tent for the morning, and we finally got to
Yeah.
go out in the afternoon. So, yeah, I am blown away by Dallas, his entire crew, how they took care of us. I just
100%.
respect them even more.
Oh, absolutely. And that was why it was such a blessing to actually go and see because we all, millions of us watched the show. And so to be able to be a part of it and see Dallas in action and the crew that he has and what they do every single day. Like they're still filming, they're still doing this while we're all home now. It is such a mammoth effort that I definitely didn't, know everything that went into it. And so now seeing it just makes, like you said, respect them even more.
Do you think when you see season 5 and your episode comes out, you think you'll be
Yeah.
crying when you watch it?
Oh, 100%. Oh my gosh. Oh my, I feel like I want to even forget that I was in whichever one, and I just want to see it and not focus at all on, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember doing that. Like for the first time, I think I just want to see it and just forget about my experience. And then later on, try to go, oh, have more fun, trying to go, oh yeah, I remember that person, or oh yeah, I think I see my shoulder or whatever, type thing.
Well, I will say I got to rub shoulders with two of the actors. They were
Okay,
brothers, and
okay.
just because of the path I was on repeatedly, and I was in the Pool of Bethesda, whatever that area. Of course, it's a
Okay.
marketplace, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't know the first time they came running through. They came barreling through the crowd, and it's funny because I had been doing my walk, and I came up and I saw them, and I was like, "Oh, what are they doing there?" So I walked on down. And as I went through there, every time, all of a sudden, I'm like, "Excuse me," boom, boom. And I was like, "What just happened?" And they're like, "Rabbi." And they ran by. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just bumped shoulders with those guys."
Oh my goodness.
So that's exciting.
What a cool experience. Oh my God.
And it's so fun watching them. I mean, just to see them, it's because I saw them sometimes, like a couple of the actors. I think it was I forgot his name all of a sudden. The one that plays Thaddeus, Giovanni. Giovanni
Okay,
was
yeah.
standing there, and I think it was also the actor who plays Thomas. They were standing in plain clothes watching our long Thursday, and they just
Yeah.
stood back, and it was just kind of cool to see him there. And then later we saw some of the other actors dressed in their clothing, but I never saw them out on set. Now maybe they were with one of the other color
Uh-huh.
groups, so they acted earlier in the day or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But I just
Did
respect
you
all of
have,
them.
oh, 100%. Did you have any of the actors come to you guys in the tent? Yes, I had.
We did. We had a couple of them, and because people haven't seen season 4, I won't say who they were because they're
Okay.
related to season 4. But they
Yeah.
did come out and they took pictures with us without their acting clothes on, just regular street clothes.
Uh-huh.
And then I did get a picture with the actor who plays Nathaniel because he came in the tent to take pictures with all of us, and our group got called out. So he came out on the road and they just grabbed a bunch of us, and my camera was used for my group, so we got pictures with him.
Uh-huh.
So it was so amazing, and I think you can attest to this too. The friendships that you probably got in those 3 days. I had came home with some of the best, closest relationship with some women that I met,
Yeah.
and we did not want to leave each other. I mean, it was so, oh my gosh, and we still talk, and I know I'll probably see him at Chosen Con. So I'm just,
Yeah.
that's the part you don't expect when you go. You don't realize the friendships you're going to get, right?
Not at all. I didn't go to ChosenCon last year. I'd never, this was the first time being an extra, so it was the first like experience that I had, and it really is life changing. Like, if any of you have the opportunity to either go to ChosenCon, like you said, or be an extra next season, do it because it's so hard to imagine that like we're almost nearing the end. We only have two more seasons left, and then this is gonna kind of we'll see where it goes. But we're losing opportunities now to be a part of this, and just do it. Do it if you have the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up? I mean, this has been such a great call. Is there any other little secrets you're hiding from me that you haven't shared yet?
The thing that was on my heart and the thing that I am trying to live by but also struggle with is just surrender. Whatever that is. If it's wanting a husband or a wife, if it's wanting a child, if it's wanting a move, if it's just something that's heavy on your heart that you've been wanting for a long time and it just doesn't seem to be happening, I have to remind myself that surrender is not a one time. It's not a one time thing. You have to keep giving it over and giving it over and giving it over and keep prioritizing the Lord over whatever it is that you're wanting.
This is something I've been struggling with this week myself, is surrendering some things that are heavy on my
Mhm.
heart. So,
Mhm.
as somebody who's learning to surrender yourself, what would you recommend I do if I'm trying to? I don't want to hang on to this thing, but I still want to pray
Yeah.
for this thing. So, how do you let go and yet keep praying and not like hang on to it? Do you have any suggestions?
Great question, and it's really hard. Um, just remember, how do I want to say this? God has a perfect plan for our life, and I think we know that, but it's so easy to forget. So just try to take a step back, and if you have godly people in your life that will pray over you and try to remind you, okay, let's try to let go of this, let God handle this. Within ourselves just every day. If it's the first thing you do when you wake up, or if you pray before bedtime, just say, okay, Lord, I really feel like I want this, or this is heavy on my heart, but I most of all, I want your will to be done. And that's a really hard place to get to. We just have to keep trying every single day. And we want his will to be done. And he will make it happen or he will, whatever his will is.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Such a great story. So, the new thing I've added to my show is for people to share a scripture that's on their heart that they would like to share. And if you have a reason for sharing the scripture, let us know. So, what is your scripture you'd like to share with everybody?
It's probably not the most unique, but it is the one that changed my life. So it is Isaiah 41. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Seeing Jesus call Mary, I just saw myself, and it was the start of a whole new life for me.
Now, are you somebody who's watched The Chosen over and over repeatedly?
I would say maybe three times a season. So definitely, I don't have the whole thing memorized like some people. I can't answer all the millions of questions. Um, but I think it is time to maybe restart season three.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I thought I was a super fan until I went to like Chosen Con and being on set.
Right?
I'm like, I am not up to the level of some of these people.
These people are crazy. They did you guys do trivia in the tent while you were waiting somebody? Okay. We had a trivia day once, and the questions that people came up with and the answers, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They really are super fans out there.
Oh man, wow! This has been so much fun talking to you, Kristen. Are you going to be at Chosen Con this year?
I am. Yep.
Awesome, great. Well, maybe I'll get to run into you because I will be there too.
Absolutely.
So, wow, this is so cool. I thank you so much for being on my show and sharing this story. It is so, man, you blessed me today for sure.
Oh my goodness. That's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a joy and an honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening or watching the Walking with the Chosen podcast. I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. I have a couple more interviews to release, and I also have a lot of episodes for season 2 and 3 and 4 and soon season 5 that I need to share with you. And somehow I want to sneak in something that happened on my vacation. So I apologize that I missed a week, or actually, in this case, I've missed a couple of weeks. But the normal week that I was supposed to release an episode, I was on vacation. And I tried so hard to get an episode out before I left, and it didn't happen. Those of you that are in my Facebook group, thank you for being so gracious and allowing me to have fun. It's been a long time since I've had a chance to get away and just have a tremendous vacation like I did. But I am now a certified scuba diver, and becoming a certified scuba diver took a little bit of faith and trust. And it showed me some things that I think could make an interesting podcast episode to share with you. That might be coming next time or in the near future. Might wait until I try scuba diving again. I don't know yet. We'll see. I have a lot of notes and thoughts, and I don't want to lose what I gained from this experience because I feel like it's a metaphor for our walk with Jesus. Okay, well, that's all I'll say about that. If you want to join my Facebook group, reach out at facebook.com/groups/walking with the chosen. And that is where you'll find a whole lot more people just like yourself that watch or listen to this show and you love the chosen. And I try to keep people up to date on all the news and important facts that are coming out. In fact, I just realized I haven't shared with the people inside the group about being a background expert. I need to get to it. So that is where you can find me, is inside of the Walking with the Chosen Facebook group. Or you can find me on Instagram. I also have Walking with the Chosen _podcast, I believe is my handle there, which I haven't been sharing as much there yet, but I'm working on it. I got some ideas coming. And you can also send me an email, shey@walkingwiththechosen.com. I had someone reach out recently. He just joined the Facebook group just to ask about Bible studies I talked about on the show. So I'm happy to help, and I'm so appreciative when you guys ask me questions. It just makes me feel like I have a purpose here. I don't know what that purpose is yet, but I'm willing to help and provide support and do whatever I can for you all. I love you so much, and I'm so thankful. And I know you have lots of other podcasts that you could be listening or watching, so thank you so much for being here with me. And I will catch you guys next time on Walking with the Chosen.